bad to ill, blurmatic. What is going on? Let's just hold on for a sec. There we go. So today's new live stream is something that I said, you know what? Instead of me doing it as more so of a full super lengthy video, instead you guys are going to keep it like a 1 hour, 2 hour at most. Let's talk about it. Marvel and DC are rebooting their universes. So first off, DC, I kind of knew they were going that direction. Like once David Zaslav, Zack Snyder, him actually no longer being attached to DC and Warner Brothers, it was time for something else to happen. I mean, let's be honest, DC universe with Zack Snyder was pretty dark. I mean, I can't lie. The first movie, The Watchmen, that he did, phenomenal. Phenomenal. That was a really well thought of film to kind of set up the DC universe to some degree. And then we had the Man of Steel. We also had Batman versus Superman. And when I think about it now, with him no longer being at Warner Brothers or DC, that made complete sense. Like the man's no longer there to establish an actual movie verse for the DCU, and it made complete sense because, like, who's going to continue forward with an unfinished universe without the person behind it? Zack Snyder was even the executive producer for Wonder Woman 1984. So with him not being there, there's a void to be filled. And with them not getting someone to fill that particular void to finish off the Zack Snyder's verse for DC, it made complete sense for them to go with the reboot because honestly, he's not there. So like, who's going to finish it off? I am a little worried about the ending of this DC universe. And the reason I say that is because of some other things too. I mean, The Flash wasn't their most successful movie. It was their biggest flop for this year. Shazam, I get that they're trying to get out a couple more projects, or I should say one more project. And maybe if this movie does good, Aquaman 2, I think personally that's great. Give us Aquaman 2. If Aquaman 3 does good, then give us a 3. And then, I mean, Blue Beetle did really well for DC this year. Probably one of their better films. I mean, I know there's some people that don't like the film. There's some people that do like the film. But I think Blue Beetle did kind of help the success of DC and Warner Brothers for this year when it came to their live adaptations. But yeah, I think DC, the disadvantage that they had over Marvel, and I want to talk about that too, is the creators of DC are no longer here. So Marvel had the advantage. Marvel had the complete advantage because they had Stan Lee. Stan Lee had been there for a very long time. He's been around for a very long time. It's unfortunate that he's no longer with Marvel because he passed away. But DC didn't have the person that was the face for the company, and Marvel did. I mean, Stan Lee was in just about everything that we could think of being a part of the Marvel brand, and DC didn't have that. So that's the disadvantage that DC didn't have. Like, they had the creator there. Most likely things would have probably flowed a bit better for the company, probably. But at the end of the day, the DC one, definitely looking forward to it. I would like to see the new takes on what James Gunn and Peter Safran have in mind for the universe. Honestly, I think that's great that they decided to say, you know, we're going to reboot this universe. I am kind of surprised that we are actually getting a second Batman movie, Batman Brave and Bold. I'm kind of like, we already got the Batman. You already got the Elseworld universe lurking while I'm at work. Oh, appreciate it, not your status quo. Appreciate it. So when I think about it now, it's kind of weird because it's like, well, DC, I get y'all trying to establish a new universe, of course. But the problem is now it's like, well, you got two Batman films. Y'all talked about y'all didn't want a multiple Batman like universe where it's multiple Batmans. and you kind of still kind of did it in a way. I hope it works out for them with this Brave and Bold. I'm more looking forward to the Batman, to be honest, over Brave and Bold, even though both movies are supposed to have Robin in them. Dick Grayson's supposed to be for the Batman. I was hoping it would have been like Damian Wayne or Jason Todd's Robin, but that's not the case. Hopefully for Brave and Bold, it's a different Robin. I don't want it to be Dick Grayson again. Give it to Damian. Give it to Jason Todd. I would like to see one of those Robins get their actual debut for a live adaptation. So, yeah, DC, they've been in plans of, like I said, rebooting their universe. And I think it will probably be for the best because I think some of their films didn't necessarily flow together well enough when it came down to it. Even TV shows, too. I can't forget the TV shows because they do have DC TV shows and they don't necessarily connect to the actual like universes. It's kind of like some shows are in another Earth, the other shows here, the other shows there. And maybe it being in one universe may not be such a bad thing. And maybe this is why they did not try to renew a lot of the CW stuff that came out for DC. I think the only show that survived the cuts was Superman and Lois, but that's actually surprisingly a good show from DC, to be honest. Like, I was kind of surprised on just the visuals for the show, and just like the character building around Superman being a family man. He's got 2 kids. He's married to Lois Lane. It's more of a family dynamic superhero show, but it's a different take on Superman, him being a family man, him not just going on adventures with Lois Lane. So I do want to say I do look forward to the next Superman movie, the live adaptation that James Gunn said he's pretty much almost completely done writing. And hopefully it's, like I said, I hate that we never got a Man of Steel 2 from Henry Cavill. But I hope it's a new, refreshing take on Superman and that the story is something that fans of DC want to see, because sometimes we hear about movies, but sometimes we may not like the comic story that it's coming from. And I just hope that it works out for the Superman movie. Like I said, I've been waiting for a new Superman movie. And I mean, not animated. I mean, the animated Superman stuff is actually pretty good. But I would love to see another live adaptation Superman movie because, like I said, I felt like Henry Cavill was cheated. Cheated because he never got a chance to do Man of Steel 2, Man of Steel 3. And maybe that was for the best. It seems like old regime Warner Brothers, and, they weren't really for it. So only time will tell. But yeah, the DC universe, I think it needed a reboot. I think the problem with it was it was good for a while, but it started to get disjointed when they started to create this Arrowverse for CW. And I was like, man, they're not even in the same Earth. Even with this show that I like, Doom Patrol, that's not even on the same Earth. So when it's starting to like go to all these other like different Earths, I think it kind of not necessarily killed the momentum of it, but it kind of took away from what we were expecting for a DC universe that fans wanted to see. It is unfortunate that we never got a Justice League 2 or 3, but hopefully when it comes down to it, maybe we will eventually get a Justice League 2 and 3 movie, not just Justice League 1. But unfortunately, we're not going to see Justice League for quite a while. I think the Superman movie that James Gunn is actually working on is going to introduce Justice League members. And I'm okay with that. I mean, if this is where you want to go with Superman, fine with me. Maybe this is probably better where we see other Superman characters that were like, his allies and stuff like that. So I think that's a great idea because we haven't seen that in a Superman film except for the animated stuff. Am I lying? That's the only time we seen Superman other than, Batman versus Superman, you know what I'm saying, the actual live adaptation, and then Justice League. So maybe that's something that is needed, when it comes down to it. Now, let's talk about Marvel. So I'm gonna go back and forth with these. Marvel recently confirmed that they are actually gonna go through a reboot. Now, here's my thing about Marvel. Because I am a fan of Marvel too. There is a problem. I honestly thought Marvel's universe was a little bit more connected compared to DC's universe when it came to a lot of their movies. It's okay, here and there in TV shows, here and there were certain things where it wasn't necessarily working. But Marvel really stuck to the comic book source material since the earlier phases or stages of the Marvel cinematic universe. So when I heard that Kevin Feige was talking about rebooting it kind of was like, I was kind of like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's doing so good. Don't get me wrong. Okay, Ant-Man wasn't $1 billion success. It was $1 million success. And the thing was, it just kept flopping in the box office. It wasn't able to maintain the momentum to sell more where it could have did a lot better. Honestly, I think Ant-Man 1 and 2, I enjoyed Ant-Man 3. I feel like a lot of people were like, had like maybe bad feelings towards Ant-Man 3. But then again, like I said before, sometimes these Marvel superhero movies don't do well for sequels. I think honestly, Marvel had a great start off. Okay, they had Stan Lee. They had the person that was the face of the brand. He was telling them what they should do with their movies. He made the cameos. But when you have a person that was behind the comics, it seems like that's a lot better. You know what I'm saying? DC didn't have that type of direction or where they could go with it if the originators weren't alive. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said Marvel had a bit of an advantage overall over DC when it came down to it. Now, with Marvel, a lot of the stuff was pretty much, it stuck to the actual source material. The Spider-Man movies. Come on, the Tobey trilogy. Majority stuck to that. The other thing is, for me, I would say Iron Man. Iron Man, Captain America, you know what I'm saying? Even the early on X-Men movies that came out, and also the second edition of X-Men movies. And then you had Punisher. Punisher stuck to his comic book source material, whether it's the one with Thomas Jane or Ray Stevenson. And I think that's what Marvel had the advantage. Now, let me say something, and I know a lot of you probably going to be like, Ill Blurmatic, why are you really saying this? Why do you feel this way about it? Honestly, I think the problem with Marvel was the newer material. Okay. Realistically, Ms. Marvel, man, it was a good show. It dealt with other universes and stuff, which was cool. I didn't like, I'm not saying it was bad, but I felt like it was kind of disjointed. It took away certain elements, and that became a problem too, because it's like, well, you guys are not sticking to the source material. Now, when I say this, Kevin Feige had mentioned a while back that they no longer are going to use the source material. So that was the biggest problem I actually saw with it. I was like, yo, like, if you're going to do these Marvel movies, why, and even TV shows, why are we not sticking to the source material no more? I never understood it. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. When you think about it, you're like, well, I get that you are the person that is the, chief executive officer over Marvel Studios, but it don't make sense that you're not keeping up with the source material, and now you're going to lose out on fans. And maybe Kevin Feige realized, like, this is not working for me. You know what I'm saying? Because now I'm going against the grain or the source material, and now we're having a problem. Um, I know I talked about in my other video, and I'm gonna bring it up, and I should have said something about it. It was an error, by the way. One error. So the Marvel phase that is going to end the MCU that we're currently on right now. We are currently in phase 4 Marvel, and you know what? It's going to end at phase 6. So phase 5 and 6 will be the final phases for the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know. Honestly, I'm kind of glad they're ending it at 6 because let me explain something to you guys. S-Man will be returning in phase 7. So if they would have kept going with the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know now up to 7, I felt like it would have been way more disjointing. And the reason I say that because each S-Man movie takes place on an alternate Earth. So now you're going to confuse the fans because you say, oh, well, we've seen S-Man here in this universe. Oh, this is the other universe. And then on top of that, the add another universe. Good. We do not want to be confused by this. And I think that's awesome that they say, you know what? Let's end it at phase 6. I think the problem with Marvel phase 4 and 5 that also is a problem is Jonathan Majors. I know he's innocent, but I think with that situation that took place with his ex-girlfriend, what's going on, Aries? Good morning, man. The problem was once he, was labeled doing this or accused of doing something, it kind of took away from it. And I think they were mainly going to set up the phase 5 and 6 for Marvel towards Kang the Conqueror that Jonathan Majors was going to play. But then they realized that their key player, meaning the new main villain for the MCU, currently got into some trouble. They had to find another way to work around it. So I do like that Marvel, despite this setback, they still were able to keep Jonathan Majors due to this situation. So I think the reason why they ended up picking another villain, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing because things do happen. Marvel is known for recasting actors. We've seen that before. I just caught up with your Marvel doing a reboot. Man, I wish they would never went to the whole multiverse idea. Soon later should have been asked. But listen to this, Aries. They may have not had a choice. So the reason I say that is because the movies and then even some of the TV shows, they're not necessarily connecting to things anymore. Because like I said, Kevin Feige mentioned that they weren't no longer using the source material. So I was like, well, it's not making sense. I mean, I get that Secret Wars was a good series. I've been hearing from people. I've not checked it out yet. But I'm like y'all gotta get back into using source material. I think that's the problem. And I think Kevin Feige probably realized, like, yo, we got all this other stuff. But let's talk about something else with Marvel too. With this new reboot, I would love to see them to expand on Daredevil. I would like to see 3 Daredevil movies with Charlie Cox. Honestly, because I feel like I get it. He does great with the TV shows and everything. And we got the Daredevil TV show coming out. I'm still kind of like on the fence about, but I would like to see actually 3 movies. I mean, Ben Affleck wasn't my favorite Daredevil, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's my favorite Daredevil. Poor job as Daredevil. Charlie Cox stepped his game up. He did a really good job playing Daredevil. Hopefully with the next Marvel reboot, we see a Daredevil trilogy for movies, not just the TV show aspect. Don't get me wrong. Daredevil is probably one of the better Marvel TV shows, but I would like to see that. The other problem with Marvel is they can't get the actors to come back. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., he doesn't want to return anymore. We got Chris Evans is still not wanting to return either. I know Scarlett Johansson will be returning as another Marvel character for the MCU. probably for the next phase, right? Maybe, or either the reboot. And then you have, Chadwick, his unfortunate passing. So maybe this direction is maybe needed a little bit, because now we'll be able to get maybe younger actors to play these particular characters. Like maybe we can get a younger person to play Robert Downey Jr.'s character Iron Man, even though it's going to be hard because he did such a great job playing Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? And Tony Stark, I was like, who's gonna like conquer that? Like Robert Downey Jr. was the GOAT for that. I was like, it's hard to see someone else to get into that role. And I get it. Same thing with Chris Evans. I think Chris Evans did a decent job for Captain America. And I'm like, man, like who's gonna actually do this? But maybe this is needed. Maybe we need, like I said, newer actors that are younger, that's willing to do more with the actual MCU. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen like how Avengers 4 and 5 are set up. Shuri, Doctor Strange, was it Spider-Man? You know what I'm saying? Falcon. Well, also I should say new Captain America, by the way, and some other characters. And it's like, well, it's not the same because they don't have the main actors coming back anymore. And I think that is a bit of a problem. I get that Marvel has the whole pay scale issue when it comes to paying their actors. And I think that's what it was. I think some people are like, yo, if you want us to come back, it's got to be a good story. We got to want to come back. You know what I'm saying? And I know only a few of the actors that have returned. Hugh Jackman returned for Deadpool 3. He'll be back for Deadpool 3. He also is rumored to come back for Secret Wars. He will be in Secret Wars, Avengers and Secret Wars as well. And also the other thing is we will see Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire will be back for Spider-Man in Secret Wars. So there are some actors that are more interested in coming back, and there's some that are just like, no, I'm not coming back. And I understand that because, like I said, it's a pay scale thing. Even prime example, and I don't like bringing it up, but I'm bringing it up anyway, with Elizabeth Olsen. Like, I think the real reason why she doesn't necessarily want to return to Marvel is how they treated her. I mean, don't get me wrong, she got paid a decent amount of money in Doctor Strange 2, but the TV show was $1 billion success, but they didn't want to pay her. They did not want to pay her. So actors have a choice. Either they're going to return or they're not going to return. But with a new MCU setup, I think it'll be better because we'll get younger actors. It's interesting to see some of these characters come back as soon as they won't have any choice but to pay them properly. Yeah, it's sad. It's definitely sad. And I think the problem with it is like I said, the pay thing. The pay thing has always been an issue at Marvel. And people have spoken about it before. Robert Downey Jr., he was one of the people, their highest paid actor. They didn't want to pay him like that. And he had his people say, hey, yo, y'all gonna pay me my money up front. Then I'm gonna get my other money back from the movies, the Avengers 3 and 4. And that's a problem too. The other thing that I see, and this is something that I should have mentioned a while back, I honestly did not want to see Avengers go all the way to Avengers 8 or 9. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sequels, I love when movies do sequels, but once it gets to like a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, a 8th, a 9th film, maybe even a 10th film for an Avengers, probably would have been problematic. That's why all the strike, because how they did. Yes, bro, they did her dirty, bro. I was like, yo, she got paid change. Ridiculous. I was like, that was $1 billion streaming show, their best show for Marvel at that time when they started to establish their TV show universe, but yeah, I think the problem, like I said before, is maybe this new direction is better. I just hope they treat the actors better. I mean, if you guys are gonna reboot this, then at least have decent contracts, you know what I'm saying? Because if not, you're going to go through the same thing y'all did in the previous MCU that you're trying to develop, is that the actors are not going to want to return because, oh, you don't want to pay us? Oh, Are we going to the next movie, or are we just not gonna return and you're gonna have to recast us? Even Terrence Howard, the actor, he went through that. They just finally reached a tender deal, so hopefully SAG is next. Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. Yeah, I did hear about the writers did finally. Yeah, they need to. That's something that's great to hear that the writers. I mean, come on. If you think about it, the writers are the reason we go see these movies because they actually kind of develop the scripts. You know what I'm saying? The story, all that stuff. And without them, then there's not really a movie. Just like with the actors. So yeah. But with a new Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would definitely like to see, like I said, a Daredevil trilogy if they are going to go this direction. I want to see a full Black Panther, like recast T'Challa, please. If y'all are gonna reboot this actual universe, recast T'Challa. Let's get T'Challa back in the actual movies for a live adaptation. I would like to see a trilogy with him. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but if they're gonna do this whole reboot, this will be definitely right. Yes, it needs to happen. I would love to see all three Black Panther movies with a T'Challa actor. Not to say that Shuri isn't a decent choice, but we all know what happened to Chadwick, and rest in peace to that man. You know what I'm saying, when it comes down to playing it, like the mantle of playing T'Challa. And I think that'll be great. You know what I'm saying? Also, I would like to see Fantastic Four to be a bigger movie than what it was, because they already talked about the next Fantastic Four movie. It's gonna be like in the 60s from what they said. So this is why they need to reboot the universe, because if you guys are talking about 2000s, then the early, and they need my S-Man. Yeah, that's the other reason. I talked about that too before you got here, Tashi J. Yeah, they definitely, because the reason why Phase 7 that they had in mind was going to be the introduction to S-Man, honestly. And the problem with that is they've already shown two different alternative Earths of S-Man. So that's why I was kind of glad that they said, you know what, we need to reboot this. But then if y'all would have threw the third S-Man in there, it would have been super confusing, because you're like, wait. Phase 7 is S-Man. You know, the other phases had S-Man in them. I think it would have kind of like got people more confused. Like, which Earth are we with? Or this is the other Earth S-Man. That's the other Earth S-Man. Because a lot of people probably don't know the S-Man movies. The first ones that came out are different from First Class, you know what I'm saying, and the other Dark Phoenix movie. They're not the same universes. So, yeah, you know, I think the multiverse thing, it's a bit confusing for a phase, because the thing is, now you guys are talking about other realities. Now, not to say that Doctor Strange, probably the third movie that they have, is dealing with other timelines as well. We know Deadpool 3 is going to be another one dealing with alternative timelines. That's where they're going with that phase. That's totally fine. But let's not get too crazy in saying everything's multiverse, because they're talking about Shang-Chi 2 is going to deal with the multiverse. What's going on, Cajun? And the thing is, we don't want it to be where it's too scattered, too confusing, and we're trying to figure out, oh, well, what Earth is this? You know what I'm saying? Because I think sometimes we get these movies, and then once they start to say other Earths, you're like, wait. So that's not that Earth. Oh, that's this Earth. And you're trying to figure out in your mind as a fan, you're like lost. Before Foggy mentioned this multiverse thing, his way to restart stuff, they lost their way. Yeah, I think he realized that the problem was the movies. The movies overall, with them not sticking to the source material as much, was also a problem, because Kevin Feige did mention, he said, yo, we're not sticking to the source material no more. And I think it was a disservice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it already has source material. Why would you go against the grain and completely change what it is that these Marvel movies stand for? Because now you're changing what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? It's not original anymore, because you're like, oh, no more source material. We're going to just do our own thing. And I think it's a disservice to Stan Lee. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's no longer here, that pretty much you're like, okay, well, we're no longer using comic book source material. And he's probably like, wait, like, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it. So I think Marvel lost a little bit of its footing, like you said, Tashi, when it came to once they lost Stan Lee, we saw some changes with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know there was one film that Stan Lee did not want to come out. It came out anyway. Was the last Fantastic Four movie. The third one that came out, trash. I see why Stan Lee did not want that movie to come out. I mean, don't get me wrong. Michael B. Jordan's in the movie. That's probably his worst movie I've seen with Michael B. Jordan. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like him as an actor, worst played movie, Black Human Torch. Nah. The other movies I would like to see with this new MCU, I would like to see a full Blade trilogy. I haven't seen a full Blade trilogy since Wesley Snipes. I know Marshawn Lee is still playing them. I would like to see that. I would like to see a Silver Surfer movie. You know what I'm saying? I know they've been talking about doing the one-shot thing. I would like to see a full debut. I know rumor is pretty much that Silver Surfer will be in the next Fantastic Four movie, and it makes complete sense. Blade got to be rated R. Yeah, Blade. Yeah, it's definitely got to be rated R. I did hear that Silver Surfer will be in the movie, and also Galactus. No, Antonio Banderas will be Galactus. And I think it's great that they're introducing Silver Surfer again. I mean, he was used before, like in the early 2000s, X-Men movies, excuse me. And I mean, it was cool, the introduction to him. I know Lawrence Fishburne voiced him. He did a great job voicing Silver Surfer. He wasn't the actor that played him, but he did a great job with the voice. I would like to see with Silver Surfer, I know Jack Kirby passed away. So maybe just one or two movies on Silver Surfer will probably kind of give the character some flair, or maybe people will be more interested in it. I would like to see another Spider-Man trilogy. I don't know. I know since their universe is going to end at 6. Well, phase 6, let's just say phase 5 and 6 for Marvel. We know Spider-Man 4 is going to start production pretty soon. I want to see White Tiger show up. Yeah, there's a lot I want to see with this new MCU, because I think if they do it right, you know what I'm saying, they set up everything right, like give us the early Fantastic Four movies, then they can go with Captain America, Iron Man, maybe even Incredible Hulk. I would love to see a trilogy of Incredible Hulk. I feel like that's what was missing from the other Marvel phase, was because remember, Hulk was owned by Universal, so pretty much they couldn't really do what they wanted to do with Hulk, was because he's already owned by Universal. You know what I'm saying? They're sharing the character, like how Sony and Marvel are sharing Spider-Man. Same thing with Universal, but now that they're able to use Hulk, I would love to see them actually give us a full Hulk film, full Namor film, because these characters have not been used for an actual movie, especially Namor. Namor had an animated movie, I think, back in the day. Hulk has been in movies, Avengers, of course. He had an animated movie. He had a couple animated movies. I'll take that back. But I want to see a new Hulk movie. That's something I've been wanting to see. I say, yo, give us a trilogy Hulk movie, and everything. And that's something I want to see. So I want to see Incredible Hulk, Black Panther, Daredevil, of course. Maybe even Elektra. I felt like Jennifer Garner, even her movie wasn't like an A-ranking movie. I would like to see a new actress to play Elektra for a movie. I think her movie was good for it to be out in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't have a sequel. And I think that's something I like to see. Some of these movies that didn't have sequels at least get a second and a third movie. And I think Elektra will probably be an interesting character. But like, let's do the Daredevil movie first, then go with the Elektra movie. I also want to see another what is that? I would like to see another Iron Man movie. It sounds crazy, right? But I think, like I said before, Marvel definitely kind of ruined their chances a little bit. And then I think the other problem with it is the superhero movie genre in general. We all know that Marvel and DC are kind of been in a space where their movies haven't really been as successful as it used to be. I mean, Ant-Man was probably the biggest flop for Marvel because it only did $1 million. And I get that $1 million is something, but I think the studio could have did more with the movie, maybe so. And then some of the changes with the one of the characters, I was like, uh, but it is what it is. Got these directors doing what they want to do. But the way Marvel can do this is if they get back into sticking to the source material for a lot of these characters, this could definitely be a winner. It could be a game changer for Marvel because now you guys are sticking to the source material. You're introducing us to other characters. One character that I would like to see a trilogy on, Luke Cage. I would like to see a Luke Cage movie. Give us 3 Luke Cage movies with him because, like I said, we have only seen him for the TV show, and I think he's like I want to say at least one of the anime shows that they have, and that's something I want to see. I'm like I haven't seen a Luke Cage movie. Yes, the TV show did well, but we all know black TV shows for superheroes don't work well. Then pair him up with Iron Fist. Yeah. That was the original plan that they had for Iron Fist. They wanted to have him and Luke Cage for Heroes for Hire. Yeah. I think they need to recast Danny. You know what I'm saying? Get us an actual Chinese character, a Chinese person to play the actual Iron Fist. And they should have been setting up the Princess. Yeah, you know what, Aries? That is something that we could talk about, man. Definitely. So we know Tony had 2 apprentices, right? So we know Ironheart is still coming out. I don't know necessarily when Ironheart's coming out. She introduced herself in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Riri Williams, it's a risk. It's a risk for it. But you know what? This might be the perfect setup for her to get her introduction. And then we had Ironclad. Ironclad was in Iron Man 3. I was hoping, I'll be honest with you, that they would have continued forward, like using him for like another Iron Man saga, but just Ironclad. He also appeared in Avengers Endgame at the very end of the movie. He was a much older Ironclad. She was supposed to be in Armor Wars, so they may need to get the show rolling. Yeah, you know, with that Armor Wars, I've been hearing things about that, and I'm not really for sure if they're gonna keep that show because after Secret Wars, a lot of people were saying that pretty much Rhodey was actually a Skrull. So I'm like, this is a problem when they didn't keep with the source material. Then is Armored War still coming out? Yes, I did hear about Ironheart being in that, but the thing is this going to take place before they found out he was a Skrull, or are they just going to put out something just to put out something because we don't want to use the source material no more? So I would like to see Ironheart, saying in Armor Wars. I did hear that Robert Downey Jr., I don't know how true it is, he may have some cameo appearances in it. When I heard at this point, what are they going to even do? Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's why they want to reboot it because it started to become a little disjointed. And I think they realized, like, whoa, what are we doing? We got my man, he a Skrull now. Then, all these other different things. Man, Secret Invasion was the nail in the coffin for the MCU for me. Yeah. That's probably what it was, Aries. That probably was the final coffin. I think Kevin Feige was like, do we want to keep going to phase 6 and 7 for Marvel? So another thing I want to mention too, and I've mentioned it before, is that to be honest, that was the first show I couldn't enjoy. Wow. So there are people that didn't like the show. So I think they realized that this is a problem. Like if they would have continued saying, hey, we're gonna go phase 6, 7, 8 for Marvel, it would have became more disjointed. It probably would have lacked originality. So for what the story was for. And I think they realized like this is not working out for us because, like I said, Marvel's TV shows, and let me speak on that. When it comes to TV shows, I enjoyed WandaVision. WandaVision probably was by far, when it came to the Disney Plus era for Marvel shows, one of my favorite Marvel shows. Captain, was it Falcon and Winter Soldier was second. I'm giving y'all my rankings. Then the other show that was really good was what was it? I'm trying to figure out Hawkeye. Hawkeye. So you got WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision. I did like She-Hulk. It was actually more comic book accurate than I thought. But it wasn't really my favorite, you know what I'm saying, from where I saw from it. But yeah, it's like their shows, some of them weren't really as good as they should have been. Ms. Marvel was good. They kind of changed some things I didn't necessarily like, but overall, it was somewhat a better show than She-Hulk, to be honest. Let me change that line up right quick. When it came down to it. But I think that was the problem, that they were starting to become a little disjointed. And like with everything, even when you think about Spider-Man, you know what I'm saying? Spider-Man is in a whole nother universe when it comes to entirety, because remember, Sony owns Spider-Man. But I think the other problem with this now that I think about it with Marvel rebooting their universe is hit that like button. So I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for tuning in. It's Spider-Man. So what's gonna happen to Spider-Man? So we know that the last phases for this, before this Marvel reboot that's gonna happen, is that they gotta get a fourth Spider-Man movie out with Tom Holland, then a fifth Spider-Man movie, and then a sixth. So they're gonna have to start Spider-Man 4 pretty soon, sometime this month. Because the thing is, in order for the fourth movie to come out, they have to already start production. So most likely production's already started for Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man 5 and 6 is it's uncertain right now, because if they're doing this reboot, and the thing is, we know they all have schedules. A new Spider-Man movie will be nice soon. They left us on a cliffhanger with Venom wanting to say Spider-Man pause. Yeah, so they have no choice to kind of like get ready for Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man will, in fact, it won't be the last movie, but it'll be before the last couple movies, because literally, when it comes down to it, Secret Wars, Deadpool 3, and also the Kane Dynasty, I think those are going to be like the last of the phase movies when it comes down to it, you know. And maybe even Doctor Strange 3. How could I forget Doctor Strange 3? So those movies may be the last couple movies that we see if they change the schedule, because they still haven't told us when Shang-Chi 2's coming out. I've been wondering. I said, yo, are we getting Shang-Chi 2 or not? I thought the first one was great. I was like, well, where's our Shang-Chi 2? Y'all doing me wrong. Yeah, I heard about that Venom having a cliffhanger. I did hear that Andrew Garfield will be in Venom 3. It will not be Tom Holland. But Tom Holland will, in fact, be playing Spider-Man for Spider-Man 4, 5, 6. The other problem with this is they're supposed to be introducing Miles Morales. So the thing is, are they gonna like pause Miles Morales for the Spider-Man 4 movie that's coming out? Or are we gonna get an alternative Spider-Man 4, or not Spider-Man 4, a Miles Morales? Because remember, Miles Morales has a movie coming out, a live adaptation for Sony. So the problem is, I guess they're gonna keep the guy that's gonna play Miles Morales for Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy. Then when they reboot the universe, we'll probably get our Miles Morales standalone live comic movie, because a lot of people have been asking me like, so when is that coming out? I'm like, well, it's still in early development at Sony. So it's really Sony that's holding up the process behind the live adaptation Miles Morales movie. And it's not necessarily Marvel, because it's a joint venture. You know what I'm saying? It's a partnership or an association. But maybe they'll hold off on Miles Morales origin movie that may come out for actual Marvel and Sony, and then keep Miles Morales for like the fourth maybe the fifth Spider-Man movie, if they're gonna do like a Spider-Man where it's him and Miles Morales going on adventures, fighting villains and all that stuff. I think it's interesting, very interesting. I think Spider-Man, they're gonna try to get those Spider-Man movies out. I don't know how, because I know Tom Holland hasn't really been wanting to get back into acting as much, but they may have to end up pushing those other two movies out, and we'll see. I think definitely I look forward to a Miles Morales actual movie, a live adaptation. Like I said, the animated is doing really good, but a live adaptation, definitely I can't wait to see him making his actual first appearance within the actual MCU, unless it deals with like time travel, like he's from another Earth. They haven't really said how that's going to turn out, and we'll see. I mean, like I said, this reboot might be needed. When it comes to villains, they got to keep it local. They don't need to do world-ending theme show or movie. I understand, Aries, but you know what? That's how they set it up for their movie universe. You know, you get, you know, your minor villains, then you got your major villain at the very end. But I think it just didn't work out, man. I think, like I said, with the whole Jonathan Majors situation that took place, of the accusation of what his ex-girlfriend tried to do, I think that ruined the chances. And I think that's why they went with Galactus. I was like, wow, they going with Galactus? Like, for a major villain. But I think, you know, when it comes down to it, they did the best they could. I mean, at least he's still in Loki. He's mainly in Loki season 2 as a villain as well. I think the direction for Marvel is definitely needed, because, like I said, I felt like it was disjointed. Didn't stitch their original source material as well. With DC, I'm a little divided by that one getting a reboot, because they have two universes. So you got Elseworld, which is more so they're animated. They do have some live adaptations with it when it comes to DC movies. And then you have the regular DC universe. So we all know with the Elseworld universe for their movies is mainly animated, but they do have live adaptations. The Batman is an Elseworld film. So if we're getting another Batman film, you know, it's gonna be odd, because now people are looking like, whoa, wait, is this Batman 2? You know, the Batman 2, then we got the Batman Brave and Bold. That may confuse fans a bit when it comes down to it. But I think DC needed to reboot. Once Zack Snyder kind of left the actual company and everything, I think the problem was, like, they didn't have someone else to take on the mantle to put out this universe the way they wanted to put it out. And he was the force. He was the driving force for it. I mean, you got the Flash movie, you got Aquaman, you got Man of Steel. You know what I'm saying? We even had a Nightwing movie. I don't know why Nightwing don't get no love, y'all. Nightwing don't get no love. We almost had a Nightwing live adaptation movie. Batgirl that got canceled. And I think the problem was the setup. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the same setup as Marvel. And we can't blame anybody for that, because their creators died very young. But I think the problem now is, when they do this, they need to have an Elseworld timeline so people can know, like, okay, this is the Elseworld timeline, meaning their Elseworld movie, DC movie projects, then your separate DC universe projects. I hope James Gunn does that, because you're going to throw fans off by just saying the DC universe. Like, no, say the DC Elseworld universe, then the other one, the DC, the main universe, because that's a lot simpler versus, oh, well, this is this. And you're like, I don't know what universe this is. But I think, like I said, with some of the projects that are coming out, like I said, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, then we got this whole new Batman Brave and Bold movie. I am a little worried about the directors. So we all know that, yes, the companies are comic book studios, but I think it's the directors that also play a factor in this, because directors, they go to the comic book. Sam Raimi, the reason why the Spider-Man movies, and I hate to bring that up, is successful was because of the comic books. He appreciated the comic books. He took from the comic books, made a successful Spider-Man movie, a highly successful Doctor Strange 2 movie, and I would like to see directors go back that direction. You know what I'm saying? If the studio is against that, then it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Because that material helps the movies be a superhero genre. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a missing ingredient when it comes down to it. I just hope that it works out, man. It sucks that they both decided to say, you know what, it was great that we did this run for our universes. We need to do something different. And I think they realized, like, this is not working. Like I said, they've been having a hard time with their movies, you know, like recently this year. I gotta say, Marvel and DC were like neck to neck when it came to not having movies that were successful. They were like flopping in the box office. Yes, they made $1 million, right? But if their budget is a $200 budget, $300 budget, it should be doing a little bit better, right? But $1 million is successful. You know, when I think about it now, it's like, well, it made $1 million. I mean, the biggest movie for Marvel had to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it was surprising because that movie was not expected to make that much money because a lot of the pre-order sales tickets, people were saying, like, this is not going to win. But it did a complete 360. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 definitely was by far Marvel's best movie. For DC this year, it wasn't Shazam 2. It wasn't the other movie that they had in mind. It was Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was their actual successful movie. I am a little worried about now that, you know, Blue Beetle being a success, is Aquaman 2 going to live up to the hype? Because a lot of us know Aquaman 2 is one of those movies that had multiple reshoots. That's the problem. But the thing is this movie going to live up to the hype? The first movie did $1 billion in the box office, highly successful, probably one of the highly successful superhero movies from DC, besides the Joker, besides Batman, right? And the thing is, will this live up to the hype, despite them changing the storyline quite a bit, not being well received by audiences when they went to go view the movie, just to get criticism for it? We don't know that. We don't know what's gonna happen with this Aquaman. I mean, even I heard the director, him and the actual James Gunn having issues because one person wants the movie this way, the other person wants to do the movie this way. So it's a conflict of interest amongst the studios. The studio like, no, we want to do it this way. The director like, no, we need to do it this way. I think Aquaman 2 is a big risk. I'm not sure if it's going to be the movie that's going to give them $1 billion. Maybe even $1 million due to, like I said, Amber Heard still being a part of it. Like I said, multiple reshoots for the movie. I think the way DC should actually kind of like figure out where they need to go with this is probably give us another trailer. Give us a third trailer for Aquaman. Aquaman comes out Christmas month anyway. Give us a third trailer. Start to get people to go see the movie again to see if this is going to be something successful or garbage, and if it needs to be canceled or actually got rid of, then you could trash the film. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing to do, but it's hard because the actors put their heart and soul into these roles, and just to like scrap a movie completely, it's disappointing. I mean, they did it with Batgirl, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when I think about it, it's kind of messed up, but I mean, they're in $1 billion debt, just like Marvel is. Both of these companies are in $1 billion debts right now. So I really hope that when it comes down to it, both companies get some better structure going on for these actual movies, because at the end of the day, you guys are starting over again. I know DC is going to start over way sooner than Marvel. Marvel's got Phase 6. Phase 6 will be their final phase for the MCU. But for me, Marvel, release the Spider-Man movies, get them out quick. Well, not quick, but get them out in an orderly fashion before this whole reboots. Also, let's get Shang-Chi 2 out there. Black Panther 3 with Shuri for sure. Neymar, I don't think we're gonna get a Neymar movie in this MCU. I think they're gonna save Neymar and Incredible Hulk for probably the next actual Marvel universe, which is fine with me because I would love to see a movie on Neymar's character. He's pretty much Marvel's Aquaman. When I think about it. DC, they got to get out, their movies. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, they got to get rid of Aquaman. And I think with Aquaman, like I said, that may be their final movie. But if Aquaman 3 goes good, we may see Aquaman 3. It is still unknown if we're going to get an Aquaman 3. But, I mean, if 2 is successful as it should be, there's a maybe. I know we're not getting a Flash 2 anymore due to it not being successful at all. And that's okay. I would like to see another actor playing Flash. Ezra wasn't my favorite person playing Flash. I enjoyed Grant Gustin more so than Ezra. Ezra had his moments as Flash where I'm like, okay, he's kind of got the Flash, I guess, personality. But Grant did a much better job with the TV show verse Grant for Flash. I would like to see for DC when it comes for their reboot, I would like to see a Kid Flash movie. I'm not going to lie to you guys. They originally planned on doing a Kid Flash movie before the Flash movie in the past. It's been talked about quite a bit. And then we're going to go with a Black Wally West. I was like, cool. I'm like, we haven't had a story on him except for in the TV show The Flash. That would have been cool to see as an actual live adaptation. Like I said, I would love to see a Superman trilogy because we didn't get that last time. Wonder Woman trilogy, get us a new actress. I heard Gal Gadot is still gonna be Wonder Woman for the next reboot. I'm like, nah, get a younger actress. She did a great job, though. I'm not gonna lie, she did a great job playing Wonder Woman. But I think overall we would need like a different actress to kind of like, maybe establish an earlier story. I would like to see a Green Lantern movie. I mean, Green Lantern, don't get me wrong, the one with Ryan Reynolds wasn't even that great, but like give us one with John Stewart Green Lantern. Like, I'm tired of seeing Hal be like the face of the Green Lantern movies. There are other Green Lanterns besides Hal Jordan. Let's get one on John Stewart. Let's get one on the other Green Lantern Corps members. You know what I'm saying, when it comes down to it. I also would like to see when it comes down to it, what's the other villain? Not villain, excuse me, other hero. I would like to see one on Hawk Girl. I would like to see a Hawk Girl movie. You know what I'm saying? I know they talked about a Hawkman movie. I'm not for sure how that's going to be. Maybe even a Shazam 3, like a trilogy of Shazam movies with a new actor playing them. I know Zachary Levi's not returning for the role. But it's crazy, man. I mean, I think both companies could do something that we haven't seen when it comes to the TV shows, the movies. I mean, if we can get a Daredevil cartoon, I mean, I'm cool with that. Give me a Daredevil cartoon. You know what I'm saying? I know they talked about doing a Spider-Man cartoon. They already got that. I'm on the fence about the whole S-Man cartoon that's coming out. I'm like, we should have just left that alone. Like, it ended off perfectly, and now you guys are like, oh, we're going to give you another S-Man series. That's a continuation of the old show. But overall, I think both companies need to learn from the things that they've done that's not working for the company, but also they need to both get back into using the comic book material. Like, why go against the grain and say, hey, we're going to do something completely different from what this should be, and it's not really helping the company because some of the movies are not well received. It's lackluster because you guys are not following through like y'all said y'all were with the comic book accuracy when it comes to things. And I think that's why the Spider-Man movies did so well. The Tobey trilogy, Tom Holland's was actually pretty good. Same thing with Hulk. Hulk had it stuck to it. Punisher as well did as well when it came down to it. And there are other movies too from Marvel that it actually stuck to comic book accuracy. When you get away from that, it starts to get a little weird. Same thing with DC, you know what I'm saying? Start to stick with the source material. This is gonna probably help to develop to make a better story for the movies. But we'll see, man. It's an interesting time when it comes down to when Marvel and DC wanted to reboot their universes. Like I said, Marvel's makes complete sense why they want to reboot their universe. Couple different things, disjointed, and just things don't seem to be working out. But then with DC, it seems like they don't have the person that was the person putting forth their universe. So at the end of the day, they had to make a choice to say, okay, if we continue going with this universe, it's not working for us. But they didn't find someone else to take on the mantle to replace Zack Snyder. So that's when that became a problem. But overall, man, this was good, man. I'm glad I wanted to talk to you guys about this. It's a blur living in the world, guys. Thank you so much for commenting, liking, subscribing. But you guys tell me in the comments. I got this question for you guys. Do you think it's great that both companies are rebooting their universes? The next question is, which universe were you more anticipating of seeing get rebooted? Like, which one you already kind of knew was going to get rebooted? It's a blur living in the world, guys. Have a wonderful Monday, guys. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Aries, Tashi, what I'm saying, Cajun, I appreciate it. Even the people that lurked in, I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I'm out.